What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my second technical outlook video. I hope you enjoyed the first one, and in this video I'm going to go over the dollar index, the Aussie dollar US dollar, and the pound Aussie dollar. So let's go straight into the charts, and I'm going to start off with the dollar index. On the right hand side we do have the weekly chart here. Now on the weekly time frame, I always start off with the higher time frames. And you can see the top down approach is always providing that insight to know where the dollar is going to move next in the next few weeks and the coming months. So as you can see, of course, dollar index has been bearish, as covered in my last video. We are bearish and we have formed a lower high here. So the market is trending down to the downside, and it's come up, made a lower high at 94 and come down and just tapped 90 and sort of pushed up a bit now. The last week was a bullish candle, a green candle, showing that there are some bulls, there are some buyers coming into the market. There are some US dollar strength coming into the market. So now what we can see here is we'll go on the daily chart and we look at the daily chart. We can see here prices come down, actually come down below 90, but then come back up and found support, and it's now pushed up. So this is very interesting for this week, because if you look at the US dollar, if this momentum can sustain and continue pushing up, potentially up to this trend line here. If I expand this chart, you can see a trend line forming on the daily chart, guiding the price on the way down. And then you can see price is now coming up towards this trend line once again. So let's see how this reacts on Monday, Tuesday this week, whether dollar index is going to have enough bullish strength to push through above 91 and above this trend line to keep moving up, or are we going to find resistance again and then make another leg down like that. So that's very important. Also, given this week that Joe Biden will be entering the White House and Donald Trump will be leaving, so there might be a little bit of volatility around the inauguration day on Wednesday, the 20th. So we will keep a close eye on the dollar index. Next, we're looking at Aussie dollar, US dollar. Now, given the information we know from Aussie dollar, from the dollar index, we know that there is short-term bullishness, and as you can see here on the left-hand side, we have the Aussie dollar. We have had a sell-off on Friday, and it's coming down now to these lows here around 0.76600. So I've mapped out this weekly high and weekly low from last week, because we are sort of ranging. So similar to the dollar index, we saw the dollar index is pushing up towards this trend line here, pushing up to that trend line. So similar or opposite, we can see Aussie dollar pushing down to this trend line. We see a daily trend line formed very steadily on the Aussie dollar. So price can actually come down, maybe come into this support region here, and maybe come a bit lower and tap this trend line here, and then we'll see what's going to happen, whether we're going to rebound and continue up back up to the weekly high. That would be a nice scalp trade intra-week, or if we're going to continue down, we can break through this trend line and then we'll form a new leg down to the next level, which is at around 0.75. So by understanding the US dollar, you can understand how these pairs are going to play out this week. It just all depends on whether this bullish strength can sustain and keep pushing up, or it's going to come down. So that's the Aussie dollar. And then last but not least, look at the pound Aussie. So GA on a weekly time frame. Let's expand this chart. If we're looking at the weekly chart, you can see obviously it is very bearish, and we have made significant lows in the past few weeks, unable to sustain higher, and it's just creeping lower. We did fall into 175 the week before last, and now we have pushed up back above. So it's important now to see whether we can sustain above 175, which was a previous level around here, 175, or we're going to keep rolling over. So now we look at the daily chart. We know the overall weekly trend is bearish. Looking at the daily chart, we can see price has sort of ranged between these two regions, 175, 500 and 177. And the day on Friday, the candle closed more or less like a shooting star, which shows that the price has been exhausted to the upside. This candle was full all the way up here, and then sellers came in and pushed it back down. So it's showing that exhaustion, showing the exhaustion to the upside, that we could see a rollover back to the downside, potentially to down to this level 174 and then 173. That would be the next level. So keeping an eye on that. If you go down to the 4-hour chart as well, on the 4-hour chart you can see price is sort of stalling here. Although we are in the downtrend, we do have a small counter trend pushing up. A small counter trend. We see the high, we see the low, we see the higher high, we see the higher low. So is price actually going to find some trouble here again at 177, where we got rejected here by this big red bearish engulfing, and then we could potentially come down? Or are we going to push above this level and then find some support, make a new higher low, so the market structure will continue up? Then we could actually go to the next level, which is around 179. If you can see here, this is a really important resistance area for the pound Aussie. So you can see multiple rejections here. Back in December 2020, we was finding support here, broke through, came back up, retested here. So that's another potential area for price to tap into. So that is my outlook on GA, on Aussie dollar and dollar index. And last but not least, let's go to gold, because I want to have a look at gold. I wasn't actually trading gold the last week, but we did see a massive sell-off from 1950, which was my previous level of interest from my first video. I was looking at 1950, and now it has actually sold off perfectly from 1950. You can see the candle closures could not sustain above 1950, similar to this area as I mentioned previously. So on a weekly chart, looking at the weekly on the right hand side, expand that out. So the previous week, massive rejection to the upside at 1950 and push back down. And then last week, a bit less volume on gold, but it did end up bearish, making a new low in the previous low. So we could see gold actually continue down, maybe to come down to this region here at 1775, where it found support at the end of November. So that's very important for gold. And then if I look at the smaller time frame, the daily chart, we are finding support at 1820. If this can break, we are going to go lower. We will definitely go lower to 1775 at least, and then we'll have to reevaluate what price wants to do. Whether price wants to continue pushing down, we'll have to see how it reacts at 1775, whether it's going to find support here and form a double bottom here and then push back up to the upside, or we're going to break this level. Break this level and then come down to sort of these levels here, something like around here. As you can see here, prior resistance, support. So that would be a potential opportunity. As we can see the trend on gold, we are swinging lower. We've had the high, the lower high, equal lower high here. We made a low here, so we can either retest this low here and then come back up, or we're gonna break all the way down to 1670, 1680 region. So that's pretty much it. So that is gold, that is the Aussie dollar and GA as well. I didn't manage to fit in the euro dollar in this video, however I will look at doing that in the next one. But I hope this video was valuable and you learned something very good. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope this week will be a really good week for you, whether you're trading, whether you're not trading, whether you're learning to trade. I hope this video will provide some insight into the FX market. And if you have any questions, please feel free to DM me or leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.